The ocean is the heart of our planet. It covers most of our world. Its rhythmic tides and vast blue expanse are a constant in our lives. We look to the horizon and see an endless sheet of water teeming with mystery and life. But what if that constant changed? Imagine waking up one morning to find the shoreline has moved. What if the sea level, which we so often hear is rising, suddenly began to fall? This is not just a curious thought, it is a journey into understanding how deeply connected we are to the great oceans. The consequences of such a change, whether small or vast, would ripple across the entire globe, touching every living thing. Let us consider two very different possibilities. In one world, the oceans recede by just a single meter. This might sound small, like a single step down a long staircase. Yet even this small step would cause enormous problems for coastal communities and the delicate ecosystems that depend on the water's edge. In another, far more dramatic world, the oceans drop by 11,000 meters. This is a catastrophic plunge, a distance so great that it would empty the seas almost completely. It would reveal a hidden world beneath the waves, but at the cost of changing our planet into something utterly unrecognizable. These two scenarios present a stark contrast. One is a crisis, a serious challenge that humanity and nature would have to adapt to with great difficulty. The other is an apocalypse, an event that would rewrite the rules of life on Earth itself. By exploring both, we can truly appreciate the vital role the ocean plays. It is not just a body of water, it is our planet's life support system. It regulates our climate, provides food for billions, and is home to an incredible diversity of creatures. Seeing what we would lose helps us understand what we have. The story of a shrinking sea is a story about connection. It reveals how the land, the water, and the air are all part of one magnificent interconnected system. A change in one part creates powerful effects in all the others. From the smallest barnacle clinging to a rock to the great container ships that cross the globe, everything is tuned to the ocean's current level. Lowering that level even slightly would disrupt a balance that has been established over thousands of years. Let us now step into these two alternate worlds and see what would unfold. A drop of just 1 meter in sea level would not go unnoticed. The change would be immediate and disruptive. Along coastlines all around the world, new land would suddenly appear. Beaches would become wider and muddy flats would be exposed where there was once shallow water. This might sound appealing at first, like getting free real estate from the sea. However, this new land would be salty and unstable, unsuitable for farming or building for a very long time. The world's coastlines, home to billions of people, would be thrown into chaos as the familiar boundary between land and sea shifted. The impact on human infrastructure would be immense. Ports and harbors are the gateways for global trade, designed with precise water depths in mind. A 1 meter drop would make many of them too shallow for large ships to enter. Massive container vessels, which carry everything from food to electronics, would be stranded out at sea, unable to reach their destinations. This would cripple global supply chains, causing shortages and economic turmoil. We would have to spend billions of dollars on dredging channels deeper or building new ports further out into the sea, a monumental and costly undertaking. Nature too would suffer greatly. Coastal ecosystems like mangrove forests and salt marshes are vital nurseries for countless marine species. They thrive in the zone between high and low tide. If the sea level dropped by a meter, these entire habitats would be left high and dry. The plants would die and the young fish, crabs, and birds that depend on them for food and shelter would vanish. Coral reefs, which are already under threat, would face a new danger. The tops of many reefs, which need sunlight, would be exposed to the air, causing them to bleach and die. For people living in coastal communities, life would change dramatically. Fishing, a livelihood for millions, would become much harder. Fishermen would have to travel further out to find water deep enough for their boats and to locate fish stocks that have moved away from the newly exposed shores. Tourism would also be affected as picturesque beaches and vibrant coral reefs disappear. The world would not end, but it would face a severe and expensive adjustment. We would be forced to rethink how we live alongside a sea that has suddenly retreated. Now let us imagine a far more extreme scenario. The oceans drop by 11,000 meters. This is roughly the depth of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. A drop of this magnitude means the oceans would essentially vanish. All the water would be gone, leaving behind vast empty basins. Our beautiful blue planet would turn into a dusty brown world. The continents as we know them would be connected by enormous, newly revealed plains. You could, in theory, walk from Asia to North America across the dry floor of the Pacific Ocean. The disappearance of the oceans would trigger an immediate and catastrophic climate collapse. The oceans act as a giant thermostat for our planet, absorbing heat from the sun and distributing it around the globe through currents. Without this regulation, the world's weather would become extreme. The equator would become unbearably hot, while the poles would plunge into a deep, permanent freeze. The water cycle, which gives us rain, would cease to exist. Without oceans to evaporate water from, there would be no clouds, no rain, and no snow. The world would become an arid desert. Life on Earth as we know it would be almost entirely wiped out. All marine life, from the smallest plankton to the great blue whale, would perish instantly. On land, the lack of rain would cause plants and forests to wither and die. This would lead to the extinction of nearly all land animals, who would have no food to eat or water to drink. The very air we breathe would change. Phytoplankton in the ocean produce more than half of the world's oxygen. Without them, the oxygen levels in the atmosphere would slowly deplete, making it impossible for the few remaining survivors to breathe. Humanity would face an extinction event. Our civilizations are built on the foundation of a stable climate and access to fresh water, both of which would be gone. The newly exposed ocean floor would reveal incredible geological wonders like underwater mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas and canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon. But this would be a dead world, a museum of a planet that once was. It would be a silent, desolate landscape, a stark reminder that without our oceans, Earth is just another barren rock in space. Comparing these two scenarios reveals a profound truth about our planet's resilience and its limits. A 1-meter drop in sea level is a manageable though severe crisis. It is a problem of engineering, economics, and adaptation. We would need to rebuild our ports, protect our coastal ecosystems, and adjust our way of life. It would cause immense hardship and cost a fortune, but humanity and many forms of life would survive. The fundamental systems of the planet, the climate, the water cycle, the atmosphere would remain largely intact. It is a world changed, but not a world destroyed. In stark contrast, an 11,000-meter drop is an event of absolute finality. It is not a problem to be managed, it is the end of the world as we know it. This scenario doesn't just change the coastlines, it removes them entirely. It doesn't just disrupt the climate, it dismantles it. The complete loss of the oceans would trigger a chain reaction that unravels the very fabric of the biosphere. The difference is not one of degree, but of kind. One is about adapting to a new boundary with the sea, while the other is about surviving on a planet that has lost its heart. The key difference lies in the ocean's core functions. A small drop in level mainly affects the edges, the interface between land and sea. But the ocean's most critical roles, regulating global temperature, driving the water cycle, and producing oxygen depend on its immense volume of water. As long as the vast majority of that water is present, these systems can continue to function, even if they are altered. The 11,000-meter drop removes that volume, and with it, the life support systems of the planet cease to operate. This thought experiment, while dramatic, teaches us a valuable lesson. It highlights our complete dependence on the oceans. We often take the sea for granted, viewing it as a resource to be used or a beautiful backdrop for our holidays. But it is so much more. It is the engine of our climate, the source of our rain, and the lung that provides the air we breathe. Whether the change is a small disruptive meter or an apocalyptic 11 kilometers, the message is clear. The health of the oceans and the health of our planet are one and the same. We must protect them.